Hello and welcome to Reviews. As always, I'm Plume Noir and that's JR's tail you're going to see flickering around here. He's kind of wound up. So here we are, the last issue of Gwenpool Strikes Back, issue number 5. And as you see from this cover, it's a photo cover. Normally, I don't really care for photo covers. And, this one has Strikes Back crossed out and says goes home. And so, of course, we have a real person dressed up as Gwenpool, which works because Gwenpool is a real person, a person from our universe who's been put into the Marvel universe. So of course, if she goes home, she would be a real photo. It's a clever gag. I actually like this cover, even though I normally don't like photo covers. I do enjoy this. So, with this issue, I'm going to spoil the ending. So, I'm getting that out of the way right now. If you want to see how it ends, if you've actually been following this series, you may want to stop, come back, because we have to work to that, and we have to give away the ending. I don't know why I'm using the collective we on that. So, but yeah, we need to go through the ending. Because obviously it's a limited series. That's what the whole series was working toward, and we really need to cover that. So we'll pop in just a little bit here. One thing that kind of bothered me, I don't know why. Once a comics fan from our dimension, Gwenpool now lives in the Marvel Universe. It's the use of dimension. Instead of from our universe, I don't know if they were trying to avoid the repetition of universe after Marvel Universe. But they've always been pretty good about the use of universes versus dimensions. And, normally if it's something really weird and, something you would expect Kirby to have drawn with weird crackling energy just floating around and, about a dozen planets just hanging in the horizon and there's no obvious source of light, that's a dimension. But if it's someplace where you can actually go out and buy an ice cream cone, that's a universe. That's the weirdest description I think anyone has ever made for how to tell the difference between the two, but that just kind of bugged me. So, anyway, into the issue, it starts off with this visual gag where Gwenpool is sneaking into the Punisher's bedroom, and as she says, "Oh, look what I found under the Punisher's bed. It's bees." And they have a little asterisk, and manifested now for the purposes of this page. So it's not that the Punisher is keeping bees, it's that she's making the bees appear. And then she goes and, opens the thing of bees. And he's like, "What the hell is this?" And it's bees. You see that look on her face, which looks so much like, the art from Squirrel Girl. So then she climbs up and, "Well, that was fun. I'm going to do it a couple more times." And now she says she's caught him in an infinite loop here. It's so wacky. It's not funny. It really is not funny. And Leah Williams, and this is why I'm going to give away the ending. I'm not going to focus much on the book. There's a couple scenes in here I'll touch on. I don't get Leah Williams. The Amazing MJ is pretty good. The Amazing Mary Jane is pretty good. This series has been garbage. Up till the last issue, which had a little bit longer than a scene. But it was, as I pointed out in my last video, where it seemed almost like Leah Williams was biting the hand that feeds her. Kind of giving a take that at Marvel because, what was it, like six different interpretations of the character. I don't have 6 fingers, of the character within 4 years. And how bad that is. That's not good. So I'm not quite sure if that was on purpose. And I kind of believe it is because she kind of lashes out, in the series at the end. And I don't know what to make of her at the moment. And I'll explain why. Here she talks about, she makes an allegory, Gwenpool does. Talking about, do you know why dogs bark at mailmen? It's a reinforced behavior. Every day, the stranger walks up to the house, making dogs think that they're a threat to their home, so they bark. And since the mail carrier always leaves after they deliver the mail anyway, dogs wind up thinking they're successfully defended their home. Okay, good point. So every day they bark as loud as they can, as hard as they can when the mailman comes, pouring their hearts into defending their family. Okay. It's kind of like how you guys apparently love your teenage dumbass so much that the first issue of Gwenpool Strikes Back #1 sold out at the distributor level on the first day. Okay, one, kind of insulting the audience there. Well, first, let's talk about this. Did it really sell out at the distributor level on the first day that it came out? I did a quick Google search before making this video, and I couldn't find evidence of that. Now, maybe my Google foo is off today, but I couldn't find anything backing that up. And also, selling out at the distributor level is not, it doesn't mean jack if the issues are just sitting on the stands at comic shops, which I have been seeing. There's been no difficulty getting this comic. And it's kind of like how you guys love your teenage dumbass so much. Okay, some of us have been complaining that this character has been turned into a teenage dumbass. She was more of a femcel, basically, who was thrust into a world that she thought would be really cool, and then, quote-unquote, reality hit, and she had to get by. So, it's kind of like she's... It's almost like she's kind of lashing out at the fans, too. Like, look how dumb you are. You're just redoing this behavior, and you guys love Gwenpool so much that you'll buy any Gwenpool just as long as it has the title on it because you're so dedicated to it. And, well, I guess she may have a point there. I guess the truth does hurt. But a lot of us have been angry at the way Leah Williams has been, portraying Gwenpool in this series. So, I want to turn the page to this because she goes for another gag. Remember, they're on that island. They've got this VIP box. Tony Stark and Steve Rogers are arguing in there while the Hulk is trapped somehow. And you remember this meme from years ago? It started out as kind of kid-shaming, where they took an oversized t-shirt and put it on a couple kids that were, fighting, and it was, the get along shirt. Yeah. It's like 5 years too late for that. It was typical mom humor, and for some reason Tony finds it hilarious. It's really stupid. So, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here because in this, Miss Marvel and Gwenpool are the last two people to fight. They have to fight each other. The winner gets the ultimate nullifier. And so, Miss Marvel doesn't want to fight, and Gwenpool is trying to force her to fight. And I have to be honest, this part of the book is really good. It's really, really good. These two characters, and I'm not a Miss Marvel fan. I think I've mentioned I read when she first appeared, the first, 6 issues of her series, and thought, it's not bad, she's pretty good. And ever since then, the character is just annoying. And I don't get why there's such a big push on Miss... Well, okay, I understand why there's a big push on Miss Marvel. But as a character, I don't find her entertaining. I don't find her interesting. However, Gwenpool has been written so poorly in this book. Leah's really been leaning into the LOL so random with the stupid ideas, which Gwenpool was not a stupid character. Granted, like I said, she was a femcel, but she was not this, random Harley Quinn wannabe character. And in this scene, where it's down to these two and they're going to have a talk, they talk like humans. Both characters are done really, really well. There's actual concern. It seems like a real conversation that people who are friends would have. and where one doesn't want to listen. And we'll take a look at this. So Miss Marvel asks her, so be honest, what are you? Human? Right, like inhuman, irradiated human, human passing alien? What I mean is, where did you get your powers? Oh, you know that already. I'm just not from here. I'm from a world where you guys are all comic book characters. And Miss Marvel says, Gwen, I'm not a comic book character. I'm a person. Right, but I'm a person from a world where you are in comic books. Prove it. Well, I can't. Because it's not true? No, because Doctor Strange mystically removed all my ties to my past so I could survive here. And, she tries to walk away, and Miss Marvel stops her. Look, just hear me out for a second. Please? And what is it with Miss Marvel just making giant hands? I don't understand that. Why is she so fascinated with that? So she asks her, please. And Miss Marvel says, so I've been thinking, what if you only developed your powers semi-recently, and that's why you don't know their source? And Gwenpool's like, just develop them? Yeah, it's natural for some species to develop powers this late in life, especially around adolescence. And then the light starts going on, like a mutant? And Miss Marvel's like, yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I mean, it makes the most sense, right? Especially if you have reality manipulation powers. It explains why you can't remember being a mutant. And she's kind of like, no, please. The shock of your powers manifesting could have kicked something up from your subconsciousness that created your perception of reality. Like this is all just a comic book world. Like your brain was trying to protect itself from a newfound ability you can't control yet. And it's kind of going mad with the reveal. And Gwen's like, just stop. Please, you're right. I made it all up. There is no real world. I'm from here. I've always been. And so we get this touching moment, where she says, let's go back. We'll figure this out together. Hey, Kamala? Yeah, what's up? I forfeit. And I thought they said in the rules she couldn't forfeit. But anyway, because she forfeit, that means Kamala has won. Congrats on your victory, Kamala. You killed me with kindness. And before I go on, I thought about this. This kind of reminded me back in the late 80s. Marvel was really trying hard to sell Cloak and Dagger. The characters who've, Spider-Man, they've got their own series now. And they had trouble selling their book. So Marvel eventually came back and rebranded, and it was, they didn't get their powers from drugs, which, yes, they got their powers from drugs. You can't really do that as much anymore, can you? With tainted drugs. No, it turned out they were mutants. It just turned out that the drugs kicked up their mutant manifestation. And yeah, so now they're mutants, and one of the early issues had X Factor guest star, and they were really trying to pull them into the mutant group so that they would sell more. And it didn't really take. And I was really worried that they were going with this with Gwenpool, which actually would kind of make sense. If she was a reality warper, she could, kind of change her memories so that she thought all this, there was a real world and this wasn't real. And then I got kind of upset because that would kind of undo, it would retcon the first series. And, I love Hastings', original Gwenpool series. And I was really ticked at that at first. While it does kind of make a neat, kind of out for the series, it is really, really, I hated, the idea that it would kill, what happened before. But then it turns out that it's kind of a fake out where she admits she knows she's not a mutant. And I know this is how I die. I've known that from the issue 1 of this miniseries. And so, thankfully, it turns out it's a cop-out. She's not really a mutant. Maybe. So, we get a Deus Ex Machina, which is a Krakoan portal. Yeah, Krakoa makes a portal, which means she can go to Krakoa, and only because she's a mutant. Okay, so maybe she's fooled Krakoa. Um, so Krakoa saved me. Um, I'm a mutant now. I get to exist. And so she breaks down, and Wolverine shows up, and I guess even her thought balloon says, "My crying intensifies." And she asks, "Logan, why are you like this?" "Hi, I'm Logan. Have you met my newly adopted teenage mutant ninja daughter?" And Logan says, "Gene, this kid is too traumatized. She needs a telepath." "No, no telepaths." Now you're probably thinking, "Oh gosh, she really is a mutant. What if someone reads my mind and realizes I'm a frog? I'm a frog? I'm a fraud. They'll kick me out of Krakoa." So Leah's kind of leaving this open if she really is a mutant, or if she's using her her reality warping powers to get onto Krakoa. So I appreciate that Leah is leaving a door for this. So she does have her little uh, reconciliation with Quentin, and Overtax sure did. And so they have this happy little thing. Um, you know, Whatever, you miss me. Came all the way to Krakoa for me? Nope. Sure, where's my white space? And she's kind of using him, and now it's kind of... we were seeing some character development here, and then it kind of goes out the window. And so she starts looking for her white space, and Logan asks, "Where'd she go?" "Oh, don't worry, she does that." And so we get to the meta ending, kind of how things happen at the end of the last Gwenpool series, where she even passes herself, and she talks about, "As for you, dear readers, do you remember my future self giving a pep talk at the end of Unbelievable Gwenpool when I was feeling defeated about how my first series getting canceled? This must mean that I'm what goes between these two different versions of myself. I'm just a bridge Gwen. I don't get to be the bright-eyed, cheerful Gwen that fans fall in love with because I had work to do in this miniseries. This is the last time you'll see me like this because my particular story ends here." So Leah's getting meta. Oh, one thing I did skip on the page before this, they make fun of Hickman's little information pages that he's been doing. Where it talks a little bit about her character, enemies depends on which book, crushes depends on which book, also blank blank, and sometimes Quentin. Family, 2 parents left behind in the real world, and a brother named Teddy whom we never quite resolved things with, I'm realizing. I may or may not have a new mutant ability. That's not my job to figure out. It's yours now. Have fun. This is to the next writer, and a little post-it note on there. "P.S. You can't control me, and I will never die." Okay, it's kind of cute. This actually, I like this because I'm starting to really get over the whole Krakoa thing. It was cool in the house and Powers of X. I'm kind of sick of it now. So she's giving her little message. "But you always come back and visit me in Gwenpool Strikes Back. We can all have this crazy adventure all over again. Yeah, I love you." And we see from the page before, "How many pages do I have left?" "Haha, you have 3 pages. I have 1. And then the final page is her walking out, saying, "The end," and little kissy emoticon. And was it good for you too, baby? Uh, Gwen's a teenager. Okay, she's like, what, 18, 19? That still feels kind of creepy to have that. And, thank you for reading Gwenpool Strikes Back, blah, blah, blah. So, this issue continues on. Continues her story. She's not erased, which I'm not sure why she thought she was going to be completely erased, since she's actually been in a bunch of books over the past 4 years. She was on West Coast Avengers. She did, of course, the West Coast Avengers appeared in Superior Spider-Man. She had a cameo in what was it, Rocket and Groot, which I even missed. I didn't even know that was there. So she's not doing too badly for a 4-year-old character, someone who just appeared in, 2015. About this issue, we get to see, once Kamala calls her out on being manic, we get to see a little bit of, the old Gwen. And it's actually, kind of nice. It's nice not to see the LOL random, because if you read online, I know I'm not alone. A lot of people hate this interpretation of the character. They hate that she's just a knockoff Harley Quinn, which Leah even called out in the last issue, where she had the Gwenpool in this series, the GSB Gwenpool, call out, might have been the Rocket and Groot one, the excuse me, the crazy one, and called her, okay, Harley Gwen, you know, we don't like this version of the character. Um, and I don't know what to make. I don't know what to make of Leah's writing at this point. This issue is actually pretty good. And, the last issue has some good parts, but the other three issues are garbage. And for her to make this comment kind of at the readers, that it's a Pavlovian response, that we all just bought this, because of, you love your teenage dumbass so much. But Leah's the one who's been putting in stupid jokes at the beginning. The Fortnite dance scene in that one issue 1 or 2. Her stupid plan to stay in comics, which was, the whole unmasking Spider-Man, getting into a relationship with someone in the Fantastic Four. It was all dumb, and that's all Leah Williams' fault. She's the one that took that interpretation of the character. Now, you may say she fixed her over the series, which I think she did. It ends on a pretty, close way that the original Gwenpool series ends. And you actually feel for this character. Now, the whole mutant thing, like I said, she's leaving that up to the next writer to decide if that's going to stick, which no one's going to stick with that. The whole point of Gwenpool is that she shouldn't work this way, but she does, as a real person who is trapped in the Marvel Universe, and what they would go through, and how they would actually, the problems they would deal with, and, the attitudes of that. But Leah Williams has actually done a pretty decent job on this book, this issue. This issue and part of the last issue. Other than that, it's a 5-issue series, and 3.5 issues were pretty bad. So, but so far, like I said, The Amazing Mary Jane has been good. I want to see more of this Leah Williams. Why wasn't this like this throughout the whole series, where you did have her basically coming down from this whole manic thing, where someone could have talked sense into her? And it's kind of bad that, everybody's friend, Hawkeye, not Clint, the other Hawkeye, who actually appears in this issue, didn't say something to her sooner. Didn't say something sooner to her in the series. Didn't even say something to her in the West Coast Avengers. It took Kamala Harris. It took Kamala Khan to actually say something to her and have this little talk. The talk that she needed to calm down. Did it help? Well, it triggered the whole mutant idea, but we got to see them converse like real humans. And it was so pleasant. You don't get to see this in current Marvel. And it's not so self-congratulatory. And even this, when they did something similar at the end of the last issue of Squirrel Girl, it was pretty annoying because it was the stupid, Times Square screens and that. But this is fitting of Gwenpool, someone who has that meta medium awareness. So what would I give this series, this issue? I would go 1 o'clock on it. I enjoyed this. The jokes I thought were really bad. The whole shirt thing was stupid, the whole Punisher. You can't put that whole Punisher bit and then have kind of like a little diss at the readers for enjoying that, when you've been putting that in, and you're basically reinforcing the behavior. But as the whole series isn't that good. It only got good at the end. And I like this issue. I like that we're getting closer to the real Gwenpool. But if she refers to herself as the Bridge Gwenpool, does that now mean we have a 7th interpretation of this character coming up in her next appearance? The mutant version of this character? See, I'm getting mad as I think about this more. Um, that Marvel doesn't know what to do with this character, and it shouldn't be that hard. Yeah, I understand her powers are kind of, you know, out there. She's a reality warper. It's hard to put her in a book, but if you can get her in her own series, like similar, um, you could do more stuff. You can do more character focus with her. And this series hasn't been selling that well, which is why I find it so odd that she had to point out that, well, it sold great at the distributor level. That's almost like saying, oh, it sells great at digital, which they don't say anymore because now that we know how digital sales go, they can't hide behind that anymore. And it's been less than 15,000, which is a limited series. It's not going to usually sell as well, but that's still pretty bad. That's still pretty low sales. So, and it's not. No one ever thinks that maybe people aren't liking this version of Gwenpool. So this is the last issue of a limited series, so it's very hard for me to recommend picking it up. It's good. I would give it 1 o'clock. I like this issue. This has been the best issue. I said last issue, issue 4, was the best issue of the limited series, and I meant that as pretty much what do you call that? A backhanded compliment. It's faint praise. It really is. Compared to all the crap that came before, it wasn't bad. This issue is genuinely good. I like this issue. So, and again, I don't get Leah Williams. If we could get Leah Williams writing the Gwenpool that appears on these last couple pages, where she's not the whole manic Gwenpool, I could get behind that. So, anyway, as always, thanks for watching. Still have Jawbreakers coming. I have that put aside. I got to do my review of it. I got some things I want to point out. So, but anyway, that will be coming up. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you next time.